Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into this today because I am so excited to share this with you. Look, if you've ever thought that building wealth requires some massive six-figure salary, trust me, you're definitely not alone. But what if I told you that you don't need to be rich and you absolutely don't need a Wall Street background to secure your financial future? Seriously. Today, we're going to look at creating a completely automated financial blueprint, and it's specifically tailored for those of us on a modest income.
And I really want to prove to you that this actually works using real-world numbers. Last year, I successfully invested $3,600. And the kicker? I did that on a pretty modest $48,000 teacher salary. Yep, I am not day trading, I didn't get some massive inheritance, and I'm definitely not a finance guru. I am literally an educator. This completely destroys the myth that investing is only a game for the rich. It's not. It's just a game of consistency.
Okay, we need to talk about the absolute devastating cost of inaction here. If you invest just $300 a month starting at age 25, assuming a historical 7% return, you end up with nearly $800,000 by age 65. But what if you wait? What if you wait just 10 years to start at age 35? You end up with $379,000. Waiting a single decade doesn't just cost you a little bit of time. It literally costs you over $400,000 in lost compound interest. Think about that. Time is your absolute biggest asset.
So, moving into Section 1, the three-bucket strategy.
You know, success in personal finance rarely comes from complicated, flashy schemes. It actually comes from a surprisingly simple, kind of boring structure that just runs in the background. Here's how we break down that $300 a month. It doesn't all just get dumped into the same place. Instead, we allocate it across three distinct financial buckets. Bucket 1 is your emergency fund, your safety net. Bucket 2 is broad index funds, which is where the real wealth building happens. And Bucket 3 involves specialized retirement accounts to really maximize those tax advantages. Let's break these down.
All right, Bucket 1. Listen, before you invest a single dollar in the stock market, you absolutely must establish a safety net. You want to aim for a $2,000 emergency fund. But here's the catch. Keeping that money in a traditional bank earns you practically nothing. We're talking like 0.01% APY, it's pennies. Instead, you've got to use a high-yield savings account, paying around 4.5% to 5.0%. This ensures your safety net is actually working for you, growing, while it just sits there waiting to rescue you from a blown tire or a surprise medical bill.
Okay, once Bucket 1 is locked in, we move to Bucket 2. This is where $200 of your monthly $300 goes straight to work. Now, we are not trying to pick individual winning stocks. No way. We're buying a tiny slice of the entire economy. It's exactly like Warren Buffett advises. The goal is to own a cross-section of businesses, and a low-cost S&P 500 index fund achieves exactly that. It's a strategy literally endorsed by billionaires, yet totally accessible for just $200 a month.
And hey, this isn't just a US-centric strategy either. Depending on where you teach, there are amazing, accessible, low to zero fee options out there. In the US, Fidelity's FZROX has a literal 0% expense ratio. It's completely free. In Australia, platforms like SelfWealth using Vanguard ETFs like VAS or VGS are fantastic. And in Canada, Questrade offers all-in-one ETFs like XEQT that keep fees incredibly low. The ultimate goal, no matter where you live, is total market exposure with minimal fees.
Now you might be thinking, wait, shouldn't I invest in safer things like bonds? Well, here's where being an educator gives you this massive, hidden superpower. It involves something finance nerds call sequence of returns risk. Basically, that's the danger of a market crash happening right when you retire, forcing you to sell your investments at a major loss just to buy groceries. But because teachers often have guaranteed pensions that act as a fixed, bond-like income, you're heavily shielded from this risk. This means you can actually afford to invest way more aggressively, even 100% in equities, instead of relying on conservative target date funds that might just drag down your long-term returns.
That brings us to Bucket 3. This is where the final $100 goes, and it's all about maximizing your tax advantages. Educators have access to really unique accounts like the 403(b) and 457(b), which are awesome for pre-tax deferrals, especially if your district offers a match. But honestly, funneling that last $100 into a Roth IRA in the US or a TFSA in Canada is incredibly powerful. You pay taxes on that $100 right now, but all the growth, all those decades of sweet compound interest can be withdrawn completely tax-free when you retire. It's a real game changer.
Let's dive into Section 2, automating your wealth. Because having the right accounts is really only half the battle. To make this blueprint completely foolproof, we have to eliminate human error from the equation. If you have to manually transfer money every single month, you're going to slip up eventually. So here is the exact step-by-step automation trick to pay yourself first. Step 1. Your paycheck hits your checking account. Step 2.
You set up your bank to automatically transfer your $300 within 24 hours. Step 3. Your brokerage automatically invests that money into your index funds. The money is literally gone before you even have a chance to look at it, let alone spend it on takeout. You learn to live on what's left, and your wealth just quietly builds in the background.
Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking right now. This sounds amazing, but I genuinely do not have an extra $300 sitting around. If that's you, we need to talk about a phenomenon called subscription friction. This is the 3% to 5% of your net annual income that is silently draining away to forgotten digital services, that gym membership you never use, and unoptimized bills. That micro leak, that is exactly where your $300 is hiding.
And the best part is, you don't need some massive, complicated spreadsheet to recover that money. You can just use top-tier AI budgeting apps. Apps like Monarch Money give you a really cool predictive look at your full net worth. Copilot learns your real-time spending behaviors to keep you on track. Rocket Money literally uses algorithms to automatically negotiate your bills down for you. And crucially, they operate on read-only bank-level security, which means they can see your data to help you find that missing $150 to $300 a month, but they absolutely cannot move or withdraw your funds.
Moving on to Section 3, avoiding the $400 mistake.
So, you've got the buckets, the automation, the budgeting tools, but I really want to share a painful yet totally avoidable financial failure from my very first year of teaching, just so you don't repeat it. Remember Bucket 1, the emergency fund? Well, I kept my $4,000 emergency cash in a traditional big bank savings account. Why? Because it just felt safe. And man, I missed out big time. At 0.01%, my money earned literally 40 cents a year. 40 cents. If I had just moved it to a high-yield savings account at 4.75%, I would have earned $190 a year effortlessly. Over 2 years, I missed out on almost $400 simply because I was too lazy to spend 10 minutes opening a new online account. Seriously, please don't make the $400 mistake. Move your cash today.
All right, Section 4, your investing questions answered.
We've covered a lot of ground, and whenever we talk about the stock market, the exact same completely valid fears pop up. Let's tackle the biggest one first. What if the stock market crashes literally the day after I invest my $300? If you are decades away from retirement, you need to completely reframe how you view market crashes. A crash is actually a massive advantage for a young investor. Think about it. Because you are investing a fixed amount automatically every single month, a market drop means your $300 is suddenly buying shares of total market index funds at a steep discount. It's a clearance sale. You're accumulating way more shares for less money.
Next question. Should I pay off my debt first or start investing right now? To answer this, we use the 7% rule. Look at the interest rate on your debt. If you have credit card debt sitting at like 20%, stop everything and aggressively pay that off. That is an absolute financial emergency. But if you have student loans or a car loan sitting at 3% or 4%, you should really just pay the minimums on those and invest simultaneously. Because your investments will historically return around 7 to 10%, your money is actually working way harder for you in the market than it does paying off that cheap debt.
So how does the whole shebang actually come together? Here is a very realistic $3,100 monthly take-home budget. You've got your rent, groceries, auto, and a really healthy $600 buffer for life's little surprises. But I want you to notice how investing is structured here. That $300 is treated as a non-negotiable fixed expense exactly like your rent. It is never whatever is left over at the end of the month, because let's be real, there's rarely anything left over. You prioritize your future self first. The math absolutely works, even on an educator's salary.
We've seen the cost of waiting, we've walked through the simple 3-bucket system, and we've set up the automation that makes it all totally effortless. The key takeaway from this explainer today is super simple. Start boring, start small, start now. Don't wait until you get a raise, don't wait until you magically feel like some financial expert. If you can't do $300, just start with $50 this month. Compounding rewards time above absolutely everything else. So I'll leave you with this to think about. If you know the math and you now know the system, what is truly stopping you from starting your automated wealth machine?